Okay, Apple sales in India are at an all-time high thanks to that shiny new credit card and, of course, sales. And guess what's the most selling iPhone? iPhone 13. Like, this phone launched 3 years ago, has a 60Hz display and this notch. Like, why? It still costs 40,000. Oh, sorry. 40,999. Now leave EMI, credit card sales and everything aside, we got asked this in live by you guys. Should you buy iPhone 13 or
in 2024?
So all of this just got us curious. Should anyone buy a 3-year-old iPhone? Well, we took the iPhone against new 2024-2025 mid-range phone. This is a very surprising video. At the end, wait for it. Let's go. You'll love it. Now, before beginning the video, let me help you explain how are we gonna roll. Bad sign. These are, oh my god. So these are the 7 parameters. We'll be comparing the iPhone 13 with a popular 30,000 Android phone and a new phone. Of course, Android under 40,000. Just to get an idea of how Androids from different price ranges stand against the 3-year-old iPhone. And at the end of each parameter, we'll give it 1 point or half point. And at the end, we'll see who wins. And if you think these graphics are old school and you can edit this video better, edit this portion with a very fancy graphics and send us your resume at contact@techwiser.com. Let's see. Starting with build and design, see, in tech as well as non-tech audience, it is one of the major aspects while buying a phone. In Android space, if you see, the design keeps evolving. Like if you see the design difference between OnePlus 12R and 13R, or if you take the Motorola Edge 40 and Motorola Edge 50 Pro, you would see the difference in design. On iPhones, the design from the iPhone 11 to the iPhone 16 has more or less stayed the same. The camera module design slightly changes every year. And obviously, all of the iPhones has the Apple logo on the back, most important thing. And it was much more visible on the iPhone 13 than the latest iPhone 16. So yeah, if logo matters. Now in terms of durability, both mid-range Android phones and iPhones offer good durability. It can survive those accidental drops. The iPhone 13 comes with an IP68 rating, so if you accidentally drop your iPhone in water, it can survive that. But remember, there is no warranty on liquid damages. Whereas on Android, most of the phones come with IP68 rating, like Motorola has an IP68 rating, whereas some phones like OnePlus 13R only have an IP65 rating. So in Android, it keeps on changing, but mostly you get IP68 rating. And of course, even in Android, there's no warranty on liquid damages. Now, one key thing to point out here is, I took my father's Motorola phone to a market to get cases. I could hardly find anything for Motorola. But with the iPhone, be it iPhone 12 or iPhone 13, the amount of accessories online or offline is very good. So in terms of accessories, I believe the iPhone will always be the winner. But here, for the sake of objectivity, in terms of design, 1 point each to both of the sides. Next, we have the display and speakers. While the iPhone 13 here has a 60Hz display, the Edge 50 Pro can go up to 144Hz refresh rate. The OnePlus 13R has an LTPO display. Now, if you compare the iPhone 13, the OnePlus 13R display seems like advanced technology. Now, some of you might be thinking, why do people rant over the iPhone only having a 60Hz display? The display is bright and sharp. What's the issue here? Oh, it's Apple. Now, we have already shown in our earlier videos, but let me show you again. So, you'll be scrolling through the same article, open on all 3 phones in slow-mo, and you see the difference in smoothness. Heck, even if you compare the base iPhone with an iPhone Pro Max in slow-mo, when you open an app or if you scroll through the settings page, you can see the difference. Now, the argument is always been, iPhone users don't want a 120Hz display. Well, see, when Steve Jobs launched the iPhone, people didn't even need a mobile phone. But it worked, and smartphones are a thing now. Innovation doesn't always happen because people want it. It happens because it is the better and efficient technology. 120Hz is better than 60Hz, period, no matter what anyone says. But yes, if you close your eyes, don't look at any other phone in the world, the iPhone 13 display is good enough. Now here the point goes to Android. Like, the iPhone display looks dated and it's also not bright enough if you see it in direct sunlight. Now, one of the most important aspects that I think people buy an iPhone for is software experience. iPhone 13 was launched with iOS 15 and currently it is running on iOS 18.2. It has completed 3 updates and it will also get 3 more updates. This is quite a lot for a 3-year-old iPhone. But here's the thing, iPhone does get the latest update, but here's the feature difference between iPhone 13 and iPhone 16. If you look closely, you will see that most of the iconic or important features of iOS 18 won't make it to iPhone 13. In fact, they won't even make it to iPhone 15. iPhone 15 won't get Apple Intelligence. And I think not enough people talk about it. You will not get Apple Intelligence on the older iPhones because they have only 4GB RAM. Now, there are tricky ways to get Apple Intelligence on every iPhone. Do it at your own risk. But Apple does this from time to time. Like previously in iOS 16, they launched always on display. Like you get an OLED display with this phone, but since the display cannot go down to 1 Hz, you will not get always on display. Point here is older iPhone gets the latest update, but with a lot of feature cuts due to hardware limitations or Apple just wanting you to buy a new iPhone. And it's not all good on the Android side of things. The H50 Pro was launched with Android 14, and after the recent update, it is currently running on Android 15. So out of 3 OS updates, 2 more are only left. There are bugs in Motorola phone where the camera just lags or freezes while taking photos or videos, but it has been there since the launch. The 13R, on the other hand, is recently launched. So it comes with the all-new Oxygen OS 15 based on Android 15. And in terms of software update, it comes with 4 years of OS update. The software just flies through app opening, closing animations, speed, loading apps, and everything is smooth on 13R. So overall, the 3-year-old iPhone have better software support than other Android phones for this price. But what would you do with that when the hardware itself doesn't support latest features? On the other hand, in Android, 4 years ago, the software support was not that good. But now, 2 to 3 years of updates are very common. And they all get the latest AI features like object eraser, article summary, etc. etc. So with respect to 2025, the iPhone 13 gets half a point, whereas the Android gets 1 point because providing better software features and latest features that you see in smartphones, you'll get it on the Android phones. Now, so far, the 3-year-old iPhone doesn't seem to win anywhere, but we have heard iPhone has the best performance. Well, here I was expecting the iPhone would for sure beat Android. Like 3 years ago, this iPhone 13 came with the A15 Bionic chip, which was a flagship processor back then. Whereas the latest mid-range Android, the H50 Pro, comes with a Snapdragon 7 Gen 3. The 13R comes with last year's flagship chip, Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. So in benchmarks, if you see, the iPhone 13 performs better than a 30,000 phone, but less than a 40,000 phone. It sits right between both of them in terms of performance. Now, to find out how these phones perform in real life, we started by playing games first. We played 2 games, COD Warzone and BGMI, for half an hour each. I'll explain to you in very simple words. See, this iPhone 13 and Moto H50 Pro gives you more or less the same game settings in BGMI or other apps, but H50 Pro can play BGMI and COD Warzone decently. On iPhone 13, only BGMI works well, but the moment you pick up newer games like COD Warzone, it's unplayable. Whereas 40,000 OnePlus 12R gives you 120 FPS in BGMI, smoother gameplay, in COD Warzone, highest graphics, really good gameplay. So I'll just put it in one simple line. If you do casual tasks like social media, browsing, WhatsApp, it will work on an iPhone 13, or it will even work on a 30,000 Android phone. These are not heavy tasks. But if you do a lot of multitasking, gaming, a 40,000 Android phone will do far better than an iPhone 13. In fact, some of the 30,000 phones will also do far better than the iPhone 13. So in performance, Android clearly gets a point here. Now, the most hidden cost of buying a smartphone is repair cost. Like most of us buy a 30 to 40,000 phone to use for 3 to 4 years. So in the longer run, your phone can act crazy and you will need repair. So these are the parts that get repaired, replaced mostly in a smartphone. Now, let's just say you get the shiny new iPhone 13 and just after a few months, you had an accidental drop and the screen is broken. Now, just guess the price for getting the display officially replaced from Apple for the iPhone 13. Come on, give it a guess. I'm giving you 5 seconds. My bad, only 1 second. Watch time. The repair price is 25,500 only. Whereas on Android, it costs almost 8,500 here and 10,999 for the OnePlus 13R. And it's not just displays. We compared it with 6 other parameters and the cost of repairing the iPhone compared to Android is very, very costly. Now, repair cost shouldn't be the only factor when you're buying a phone. Get a phone which suits your requirements better. We mentioned the repair cost just to make the people who bought the iPhone 13 at a sweet deal aware that the phone is at a discount, the repair is not. So both the Androids get a point here. So iPhone 13 users, please use the phone with extra love and care. Even though the government has set a good budget, but your budget might get shaken up. Now, this part was the most surprising. Camera. Like most people get an iPhone because they think that iPhone has the best camera. So does the iPhone 13 beat both Moto H50 Pro and OnePlus 13R? Like before beginning the comparison, a small disclaimer. Both the Androids here have a telephoto camera, but the iPhone 13 here lacks one. So to keep the comparison fair, the telephoto camera section is not included. Now, starting off with the main camera, if you look at the main camera samples, in every sample, the iPhone here has the most natural colors and skin tone along with good light control. The OnePlus 13R comes to a close second. At times it looks a bit yellowish. The H50 Pro human photos look slightly overboosted. This overboosted looks good in non-human subjects, but with human subject it's slightly overdone. In ultra-wide angle camera, the iPhone 13 is quite wide. Rest in terms of color, skin tone and light control, the story is same as the main camera. iPhone 13's photo look the best, 13R is second, and the H50 Pro is last. Now in selfies, the story is flip opposite. All three phones here have taken good selfies. In videos, the iPhone 13 and the OnePlus 13R can shoot in 4K 60fps, but the H50 Pro can only do 4K 30fps. So to keep the comparison fair, we shot all the three videos in 4K 30fps, and the iPhone here clearly defeats the Androids. Now we all use Insta and Snapchat. Socials is what they call it these days. So we use the camera app inside Snapchat, and to my surprise, there's not much difference. Earlier, for photos clicked using social media apps, the difference between an Android phone and an iPhone used to be huge. But now even mid-range Android phones have caught up with iPhone in high quality photos for social media. We even click photos and videos using Instagram. The quality of the photos on Android is at par with the iPhone, but again, in terms of overall colors, iPhone looks better. So overall in cameras, I believe iPhone 13 comes out on top, giving natural colors and good videos, whereas Android gets half a point for improving the camera in social media apps and better hardware. Like, we didn't count the telephoto lens on both the phones, so that's the point. Now before we head to the conclusion, let's quickly go through the battery and charging. Androids are way better here, like far ahead. The iPhone 13 here has the lowest battery capacity, plus it is a 3-year-old phone, so the battery health is only 85%. So if you use 5G, do slightly heavy tasks, it doesn't last one full day. If you don't use your phone much, which is funny to say, then the iPhone 13 on a single charge gets you through the day. And in terms of charging, it supports 20-watt fast charging, which is slow as per 2025 standards. Also, it has a lightning port. The H50 Pro on a single charge, it gets you through the day smoothly. Plus, it supports 125-watt or 68-watt of PD charging, depending on the model that you buy. So it takes around 15 minutes to half an hour to top up the phone. On the other hand, the OnePlus 13R, oh boy, no matter how hard you try to drain the battery, you won't be able to finish the battery in one single day. It easily lasts 1.5 days on a single charge. It supports 80-watt fast charging, and in about 1 hour, you can get it to 100%. So in terms of charging and battery, the Androids easily get a point. So finally the score is here. Drum rolls. So what's the conclusion? Well, the score says it all. It's simple. People who really want to get the iPhone in the next sale, avoid getting the iPhone 13. From 2025 standards, it's quite old to keep up with the demands. One reason I can think of getting the iPhone 13 is if you want a secondary phone to record reels or photos, or if you want an iPhone for your parents, I believe then only it makes sense. Apart from that, I believe 90% of the aspects of 40,000 or even a 30,000 Android phone is better than the iPhone 13. If you want an iPhone, I think the bare minimum iPhone to get is iPhone 15. See, here's the thing. Technology improves so fast that if you think about today, you feel not much innovation has happened. But when you compare a device 3 years old versus now, you will see the real factual difference. Phones in budget or mid-range have gotten way powerful now, and we tried this new format. Let us know if you like it. We'll also try to do old flagship versus new phones. That would be sick. 20,000 likes, we do that. On that note, this is signing off. See you in the next video. Pew pew pew.